Melanie is on a mission to live, and she needs your help to ensure her mission is a success. Without the urgent help she needs, there is no second chance. Melanie was diagnosed with extremely rare conditions, Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, and a rare form of muscular dystrophy. Her skull, neck and spine were regularly dislocating, causing life-threatening seizures. Against all odds, she previously raised over £160,000 to have specialist craniocervical fusion. For a short time, Melanie had her life back, but unfortunately, it wasn't for long. The fusion broke in 2 places, and the surgeon had no choice but to fuse the rest of her spine to protect and stabilise her body. Melanie has since been living in a surgical halo that is keeping her alive for 15 months, longer than anyone ever has before. The only chance she now has is to undergo a first-of-its-kind procedure by experts in Barcelona that has been carefully devised with advice from London, America and India to get her life back on track. Melanie is a fighter, but she can't finish her fight alone. She needs your help to be able to afford her one chance at life-saving surgery. Graduating from university whilst on a stretcher, helping children in schools after her first surgery, and being an auntie to her niece Katia, Melanie wants to live to help others. Her dream is to become a primary school teacher and inspire future generations for years to come. Her dreams can become a reality with your help. Please, join the fight in supporting Melanie's mission to live. You can help by sharing her story and by donating to her GoFundMe page. Thank you.
We're here with Melanie. You've got a fundraiser at the moment. You're trying to raise £100,000. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's Melanie's mission to live, and we're trying to raise £100,000 in just over 3 weeks before October for life-saving surgery that can't be done in the UK.
Yeah, and what's it for? What's the conditions that you've got that you would need that for?
Okay, I've got Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, which is a collagen defect and a rare form of muscular dystrophy. So all my joints are very loose and dislocate very easily, and I needed my skull, neck and spine fused all the way down, which actually went really, really well, and most of my spine fused really well. But now there's broken screws at the top and the bottom of the fusion. So it's at C1, which is right under your skull, and T1, which is the bottom of your neck. And basically, whenever the halo comes loose or is undone, I stop breathing and have non-stop seizures. So I've been living in a halo for 16 months now, which is longer than anyone ever has. Usually they're used for 6 to 12 months at the most, because they're not a long-term answer. So the only solution to save my life now is to have this new surgery, which is a brand new plan that's being created by my surgeon with the help of other experts in India and America and things. And it's to go through the front, through my throat and through my sternum, to fuse it from the opposite side so that it'll be really stable, and then I'll not need the halo anymore.
Yeah, and you've got a deadline. You've got an amount you're trying to raise, £100,000. Yeah. How close are you to that, and what's the deadline for donating?
£100,000 by October. The surgery's booked for the 4th, and we've got £67,000 still to go at the moment.
Yeah, so still obviously a lot still to go. Have you got a message for anyone who's watching this and thinking about donating?
Just please do. Even if it's just £1 or £2, it all really adds up and makes a difference. And I just need everyone's help. Really, it's the only way it's gonna work, and the only way we're gonna save my life is if everybody gets behind it and supports the cause.
Okay. How are you generally feeling now, and what does an average normal day look like for you?
Well, I'm not feeling very well today because it was actually my birthday yesterday, and I had a big asthma attack and nearly ended up in hospital. So I've had a pretty rubbish night. But a normal day for me is pretty much like this, lying in bed. The halo's on 24/7. Obviously, it's screwed into my skull, so you can't remove it. And I would stop breathing if I did, obviously. and I lie and watch a projector on the ceiling. I watch Netflix on the ceiling. And I have, on a good day, I have maybe 2 hours sat up in a wheelchair, and that's it at the most.
You're also in possession of a Newcastle shirt signed by Alan Shearer. Firstly, how did you come into possession of that, and what can people do to join the auction?
Okay, so Harry's Bar in Newcastle emailed me to say they wanted to help, which was just so kind of them, and they said they've got a Newcastle shirt, and it's this season's, and it's got like the number 9 and Alan Shearer on, and Alan Shearer has actually agreed to sign it for the winner who bids the highest, and so it's going to be personalised and say best wishes and the name, and then have a signature on as well, and it's going to end on the 1st of October, and Harry's Bar are going to collect the money for us and hand over the shirt to the winner.
And what's that currently on at the moment?
It's on £250 at the moment.
Okay, we'll put the links in below so people can join the auction if they want to do that. We'll also put all the links in to donate as well. A long-winded question is, what's it obviously been like? I'd imagine very, very, very challenging, but what's it been like having to go through all of this?
It's so stressful. And it's just so hard, because obviously, like, money's tight for everyone at the minute, so asking for money is really hard. And it's just trying to think of what you can do to raise money. I mean, I don't really sleep because I'm in pain, and my bones, even in the halo, they pop out all the time, and I'll move and it cracks back in really loud, and everyone hears it and looks, and it's so painful. So I'm awake most nights, so I lie in bed at night trying to think of what I can do to raise money and to help, like what can I do myself. But yeah, it's just so hard.
Yeah, and what the treatment that you're going to have in Barcelona, it's the first of its kind, the way that it's being performed. Could you tell us a little bit about that, the risks, what's actually happening with the surgery and just stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. So the surgeon is an expert neurosurgeon, and he does so many operations on people with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, and he's really good. But they've never had someone in this situation, and when we spoke to the experts in India and America, they hadn't either. It's never happened before. So I'm fully fused all the way down the back, but where the broken screws are, it can't fuse because the bones are still moving. So they're going to go in from the front, but usually if they do a fusion from the front, they tip your head back to get the right angle, but they can't do that with me because of all the metal down the back, so it makes it more difficult, and they have to, it's just more complicated. So there's going to be a jaw surgeon in case they need to work on my jaw as well, and a thoracic surgeon because they need to get behind my sternum, so it's like a team effort.
Yeah, and if the surgery goes right, what would that mean? That
would mean that obviously I wouldn't be popping at the two places. The bones wouldn't be slipping out of place. I wouldn't be at risk of them dislocating and killing us. Once it's stable, I shouldn't need the halo, and I should be able to breathe and sit up in my wheelchair again and go out and be in a lot less pain as well. And I'll be alive, because obviously the halo isn't a long-term solution. It's not going to work forever. It's working less and less every day as time goes on. I'm getting worse. So it's really urgent, really.
And after the surgery, what's a couple of the things that you're most looking forward to doing?
Going out with my niece. It's her birthday in November, and she's going to be 10, and she wants to go to the cinema in Newcastle with the sofas with us. She wants to go and get a professional photo shoot and makeup done together, which is obviously something we've never done because I haven't been well for such a long time since she's been into things like this. So I'm looking forward to that. And then getting on with my my studies. I want to be a teacher, so I need to do my teacher training.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of your studies, you're a graduate of a local university in Newcastle. You studied biology, I believe?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, how was that? How was that at university?
It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed uni. I really did. And I did a lot of volunteering in schools over the years because I want to be a teacher, and I've always wanted to be a primary teacher. So I was going into schools twice a week and helping out, and I just loved it, and I really miss it. Really, really miss it.
So what made you set up the fundraiser?
Desperation, I suppose.
Right, okay then. So we're obviously meeting today in regards to Melanie's fundraiser. Could you just tell us a little bit about the fundraiser and what it is you're trying to raise the money for?
Right, Melanie needs urgent surgery to her neck and her spine, but the surgery is pioneering in that the surgeon has to go in through her throat and through the front rather than at the back, because she has broken screws in some of her vertebrae and they can't get more screws in from the back, so they have to try it from the front. And she needs to raise 100,000 by the 4th of October when our operation's booked for, and she's currently got, I think, about 33,000.
Could you just tell us a little bit about Melanie, the condition and stuff like that, for people who maybe aren't aware or haven't heard about it before?
Well, Melanie's basic underlying condition is Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, which is a collagen defect. It's genetic, so I have it, my other daughter has it, but Melanie unfortunately has got it a lot worse. And it means that her joints can dislocate and do dislocate all over, and all our joints can do it. Any joint, our jaw, our toes, our fingers, everything. And she has very fragile skin. She has other things wrong. She has brittle asthma. She has Addison's disease. She has a very rare type of muscular dystrophy, which was only discovered a few years ago that she had it.
And when was she diagnosed with these, just to kind of give a little bit more on the background as well?
Right, well, she was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome when she was about 2, and it was confirmed in Cambridge by Professor Pope when she was about 3.
Yeah.
And that was really because she didn't have the strength to stand on her feet, and I was a nursery nurse, so I knew that she was trying to stand and trying to walk, but her ankles weren't supporting her, and as soon as she got surgical boots she just got up and walked. And it was a registrar at Gateshead Hospital asked if I had any other concerns, and I said that my mother-in-law thought her skin was very soft and it was unusual, so she examined her and she said, I think she's got Ehlers-Danlos, which was really quite unknown of then, and this is 30 years ago, and it was very rare. Nowadays Ehlers-Danlos isn't rare, there's a lot of people with it, but that was the beginning of everything.
The problem that's happening now is it happened before and then there was a break. If you could just tell us a little bit about that as well.
Alright, well, she had surgery in 2017 in Barcelona with Dr. Gillette, and that was to fuse her neck, and then while she was there she had another operation to fuse most of her spine, and it worked perfectly. She got home, and after about 6 months she was able to go out to school, and she wants to be a teacher, so she was getting experience in Kingston Park School, one of the schools there, and she was able to go to the cinema, she was able to go to live concerts and music, and everything was going really well. But unfortunately things went wrong 2 years after the operation, and 4 screws, that's 2 and 2 vertebrae, got snapped. And then we were back to square one, and she's been back a few times to try and get it repaired, but it just hasn't worked.
So about the surgery, could you tell us a bit about the surgery that they're looking to have done? If there's any risks, what the recovery time, and any information about like that?
Right, well, the last time we were in Barcelona, it was a year past July, and the surgeon said there's nothing else he could do for Melanie, and he fitted this halo, well, she already had it from the surgery, and he said, well, you'll just have to live in the halo until you can find somebody that can operate on you. And so Melanie was trying to get hold of different surgeons in America and India that she'd heard about can do different types of surgery on people with Ehlers-Danlos and with their neck. And when she got to speak to some of them, passed them on to Dr. Gillette, and he had a word with them, and they all said that there was nothing they could do to help Melanie. And so Dr. Gillette spoke to some different consultants in the hospital in Barcelona, and he's got together a team that he thinks can help Melanie. So it's very risky, but it's riskier staying in the halo because you get the chance of brain abscesses and brain aneurysms and the screws all infected, which they have been in the past. And then she gets sores off having the halo screwed in as well, so that in itself is risky. So nobody's actually been in the halo for as long as Melanie. And people usually go in a surgical halo after they've had a car crash or something like that, and they're in it for maybe 3 months at the most. But Melanie's now been in about a year and a half.
So what's it been like for you personally, having to going through everything that this is involved?
Well, I think you just have to get on with it and put it to the back of your mind, all the risks and things that can go wrong, because every operation holds risks. Melanie's had to have psychological evaluation to have this operation, to make sure she knows of the risks and she knows what could go wrong, and she's passed that. So there's no use me falling apart. You just have to keep going.
In regards to the rest of the family, have they been able to support and offer sort of help? I know obviously she's got a carer. If you want to speak a little bit about that situation as well.
Well, Melanie's supposed to have 24-hour care, so there should be a team of 5 carers, but because of the situation, we've had one carer who's just left this week. She's left. She's gone on to a job that isn't in care because of her mental health. And then we'll have a carer now that's been here about 4 months, who was excellent. But trying to recruit carers is terrible, so it's basically me and the carer we've got now doing the care.
So obviously we're trying to support the fundraiser. Is there anything you want to mention to people who are viewing the video and are thinking about donating?
Well, all I would say is I know times are really hard for people, but every pound, every 50 pence, whatever can be donated will help, because it all builds up and it all adds to the fund. And if we can get Melanie to have this operation and get her out of the halo and give her a bit of a better life, it would be marvellous, and it would make a big difference to Melanie and the family.
Yeah, is there anything that you want to mention as well? Just anything across anywhere?
Just that if people can't afford to donate, then if they could share our story so that it could reach other people that might be able to donate, however small a donation, that would be really helpful.
See if you can just introduce yourself and who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Leanne. I'm Melanie's carer.
What's it been like being Melanie's carer? What's that like?
It's hard. I mean, my heart does go out to her. It's really, really difficult for her to see her lying in bed all day, every day. It's quite hard. And the fundraising side of it's really hard as well. But yeah, loving it.
Yeah, and you mentioned as well, she mentioned obviously that you've been involved with the fundraiser. So mentioning the fundraiser, how have you been involved, and what's your message to people who see this video and are thinking about donating?
Yeah, so the fundraiser we did was kind of at the beginning of the school holidays. We did a children's one at a local club in Forest Hall. My husband used to work there, so obviously he kind of got that sort of set up and everything, and then obviously me and Melanie kind of planned everything, all the tombola, raffle, that sort of thing. And then my husband and my children came and helped out on the day, along with obviously Melanie's family and friends as well. Yeah. So I think the message really is just everybody donate, any amount, small, large, every little helps. It's getting quite close and desperate, so yeah.
Perfect. And what's an average, normal, whatever you want to call it, what's a day look like?
Every day is different. Every day is absolutely different. It all depends, obviously, how Melanie is. Some days she has great days and she can be up all day, afternoon, and she can be baking. And some days, a bit like today, she's really poorly. Sadly, she has to spend the day in bed to kind of recover from things like asthma attacks. So it's hard to say really, because as I say, every day is different. I mean, we've been kind of, since I've been with me, we've been to concerts, you know, we went to see Ed Sheeran, and we've been to see The Script, you know, cinema, but that's obviously when Melanie's, you know, feeling well. But lately now, with the halo being broken, that's not happening, sadly, and she's spending more and more time in bed, as obviously she's waiting for the operation.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is probably best to ask you more than anyone. What are the challenges that are kind of that come up and stuff like that?
Challenges, again, it depends on Melanie's health. Things just like moving her and stuff, you know, you're always so worried that you're going to hurt her. Obviously with the halo being broken, it's things like tightening screws and stuff. Things like when the screws break, you know, once a halo is broken, then she's really, really poorly. Again, at the minute, she's really, really stressed, which is obviously triggering all her other conditions off as well. So it's really hard at the minute. She's really desperately needed help.